Hello students! In this video, we are going to learn about prepositions and prepositional phrases. You already learned about prepositions before when we studied nouns. So you understand that after a preposition, we use a noun. This is great. This will help you understand more about prepositions, because there are two words that we use when we talk about prepositions. A preposition is one word. For example, the preposition in, or the preposition at, or the preposition on, above. So a preposition is typically one word, but it sometimes has more than one. And that is when we call it a prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase is a group of words that come after a preposition. This means that it is a preposition plus noun. This together is called the prepositional phrase. Okay? When we have a preposition or a prepositional phrase, the job of this part of speech is to give information about location or about time. That is the job of a preposition. Okay, so we understand preposition or prepositional phrase. We're talking about a preposition. This means that we are adding information to our sentence. Now, the information that we can add, there are two different types of prepositions. So this means that you can add a preposition of location to your sentence to give information about a place, or you can add a preposition of time to your sentence. If you add a preposition of time, that means that you are adding information about time to your sentence. Okay, let's talk about where prepositions go in sentences. So where do prepositions go in sentences? You can use a preposition in two places. You can use prepositions at the end of a sentence or at the beginning of a sentence. So two places, beginning or end. From these two places, it is most common to use prepositions at the end of a sentence. This is the most common place, but there are two possible answers. If you use a preposition at the beginning of the sentence, you must use a comma. You need to use a comma because the comma is there to help separate the prepositional phrase from the subject. So let's take a look at some examples using prepositions at the beginning and at the ends of sentences. Let's pay attention to sentence structure 1 to start. Now, we know sentence structure 1 is using a linking verb. This means that the linking verb is doing what? It's giving information about the subject. So we use sentence structure 1 when we talk about and focus on the subject. For example, if you look at this sentence here, she is a classmate in my Grammar 1 class. We are talking about she, the subject. She, then we have the verb be, linking verb, and then we have a noun here. This is my complement. And after my complement, I have here my prepositional phrase. In is my preposition, okay, and the noun is class. Everything else before is the adjective to explain more about class. My noun is class, and it comes after my preposition. So this information here, this sentence structure 1, is a good example of how you can use a prepositional phrase after the complement. Because the preposition is at the end, no comma. Don't use a comma here. But if we take this sentence, same sentence, But now we move the prepositional phrase to the beginning. Look what happens. I'm now using it at the beginning, so I need to use a comma here. After the preposition, the object of the preposition, I use a comma to separate the object of the preposition from the subject of the sentence. Look at these two examples here. Again, when the prepositional phrase is at the end, like the first example, don't use a comma. When you use a prepositional phrase at the beginning, like in this example, you need to use a comma to separate the object of the preposition from the subject. In sentence structure 1, sometimes we do not use a complement. We only use subject plus linking verb plus prepositional phrase. This is only true when we use the verb be. So look at these examples here. My teacher, subject, is my linking verb after I have in front of the board. This is a prepositional phrase. So in this structure, you can see I have my subject and verb plus prepositional phrase. My class, subject, is my verb be, linking verb, after I have a prepositional phrase. So we learned about sentence structure 1 and how we can use sentence structure 1 to explain or give more information about the subject. And we learned how to use prepositional phrases with this structure. Please pause the video here and practice writing 5 sentences with the structure and using prepositional phrases. Practice using subject plus linking verb plus complement plus prepositional phrase, and practice using subject plus the verb be plus prepositional phrase without the complement. Okay, now let's take a look at structures that focus on action verbs because it's very different, right? We remember from last week that action verbs help us understand what the subject is doing. So it's very different than the linking verbs. The first sentence structure is number 2. Because we use the transitive verb here, we need to follow the transitive verb with a direct object. Look at this example. My teacher, subject, explains, transitive verb, explains what? Explains grammar points, the direct object. And I am adding here the location. I am adding this extra part of speech to show the place where this happens. Because it's at the end, I don't use a comma, but if I use the same sentence and move the prepositional phrase at the beginning, I need a comma here. Okay, look at these examples here. Pay attention to, again, how the structure focuses on what the subjects are doing, okay, and the direct object comes after the verb, and then the prepositional phrase can be used at the end or at the beginning. It is your choice. Okay, please take 5 minutes to write sentences using the sentence structure 2 with prepositional phrases. Remember, you can add a preposition of time or of place. They are both correct. Now, let's take a look at the last structure, sentence structure number 3. Remember, this structure is also a structure we use to help us talk about what the subject is doing. Because we use an intransitive verb, an action verb that does not need a direct object, you can stop the sentence here after the intransitive verb. Or, like we are learning this week, we can add prepositional phrases because they're extra pieces of information that are really helpful for your sentences. Let's look here at the first example. Sandra, subject, she studies. She studies on Fridays. Study here in this example, study, the verb study is an intransitive verb because there is no direct object. After study, I can finish my sentence, or I can add more information like I have here, on Fridays. Remember, if the preposition is at the end, no comma. If it's at the beginning, use a comma. Okay? Pause the video here to study these other examples. After you study, I want you to please take another 5 minutes to try writing 5 sentences with the structure number 3 plus a prepositional phrase. It's very important that you practice all of this information we are learning. Please pause the video here to do this activity. Okay. Before we finish, many students ask, can you use more than one prepositional phrase in one sentence? Yes. The answer is yes, you can. So let's study some examples. In the 5 sentences below, I want you to find the prepositional phrases in the sentences. So pause the video here, copy these 5 sentences, and find the prepositional phrase in each of the sentences. Let's look at the answers together. Number 1, my classmate lives in a small house. This is a prepositional phrase. We start with in. A small house, we have the object of the preposition in. And after, I also have another preposition. So here is the object of that other preposition. So in this example, you can see we have 2 prepositional phrases in this one sentence. Look at number 2. She looks tired on Monday in the morning. On Monday, I can highlight that is a prepositional phrase, and also in the morning is also another prepositional phrase. So I can highlight both. You can see both can be used in this example. Look at number 3. Greg studies with his friend, one prepositional phrase, and the other is on the weekend. Here, number 3, again, we have 2 prepositional phrases. Number 4, Martha and Hugo will be classmates in the listening speaking class. One prepositional phrase, the other is in the summer. The last sentence, number 5, the Rosero children have class from Monday to Friday, prepositional phrase, in the morning and in the evening. In this example, I have 3 prepositional phrases. From Monday to Friday in the morning. Because I have in the morning and in the evening 2 periods of time, I need and in the middle to separate those because they are the same type of preposition. So I'm showing you that yes, you can use many prepositional phrases in your sentences. If you use many prepositional phrases, please remember to use the time at the end, the day or the time at the end. So for example, in number 4, you can see in the listening speaking class is the location, and in the summer is the time. The time is at the end. Thank you for watching. Please continue to review this module to practice more with prepositions and prepositional phrases.